what do I know now that I didn't know 7 years ago? Marriage has taught me patience, long suffering, and perseverance. And honestly, marriage is hard work. I mean, going into marriage as a 24-year-old, going to be 25, I had no idea. In fact, I hadn't even lived outside of my parents' house prior to getting married. So I literally moved from my parents' house to my husband's house, right? So I won't call myself, I wasn't independent at the time. And I wasn't independent minded. And getting married to someone who was, my husband had been a bachelor for at least a decade or more than a decade before he got married. So he was used to having his own space, being his own person. He knew or knows who he was. I think I found myself, and I'm still finding myself even 7 years after with 3 children. And looking back, I wouldn't say I have any regrets. I'm so grateful to God for my 3 children. But I would say I was, a little bit immature. I can still be immature, but still growing. I'm still evolving. But I've had to learn very hard lessons and, understand that marriage is something that is long-term. And it's not the lovey-dovey stuff that we see on TV, on Disney, in the movies. It's real life stuff. It's hard. It's hard work. And another thing that I'm also beginning to understand that I didn't know 7 years ago is that when you're marrying someone, it's the union of 2 families, right? So it's beyond you and your spouse. There are so many people involved and vested in that marriage working, and there are so many people who would benefit from that union one way or the other. When 2 families come together. So it's beyond just you and your spouse. You're getting married to the person's entire family. And 7 years ago, I was excited. First of all, I always say this. So the number one reason why I got married so early is I wanted to have children legitimately, because I've always wanted to have kids from when I was very little. I'm the first child of my parents, and I've had to take care of my siblings from when I was really, really young. So I'm so used to taking care of children. In fact, my name means good mother. Isn't it? Literally means good mother. And, I couldn't wait to have people call me mommy or someone call me mommy. I'm always mommying people. I mommy even my mother, So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to get married early, to start to have a family. And, it has been a journey and a half. And my mom has also been a very strong support. And I'll say one of the reasons why, a lot of people are struggling. I've had my own struggles. I still have my struggles in marriage because my husband and I are 2 different people. I'm more social, more out there, more, I've had life easier than I would say most people. And he, on the other side, is a very private person and likes to keep, his business. So I've also had to learn to also respect our differences and bond on the things that we align or, that are similar to both of us. And I'd say it's just been really interesting. Interesting is just the word to just wrap it in a nice package. It's a package. And you get to, as time goes on, you get to, unravel what is inside the package. My mom always teases me. She's like, that isn't it? Is it that isn't his way or the highway? So marriage has also taught me that things won't always go my way, right? We agree to disagree, and there always has to be a place for compromise, in marriage, for any union to work really, you have to compromise on certain things. You have to accommodate other people, the other person's feelings, the other person's views. Because you see things a certain way, it doesn't mean that's the right way or that's the only way. So marriage is going to teach you that. And, 2 people just being able to tweak and make adjustments for things to happen. I met my husband. It's a funny story, really. I met my husband in my uncle's house. In fact, it was so weird how it happened. It was 2012 December. And that particular Christmas, I didn't know, for some reason, I was just excited to go to the East. Usually, I don't even like going to the village like that. But that particular year, I couldn't pinpoint what was getting me excited. I think I was just in the right frame of mind. I had just lost weight. I was feeling very good. But there's nothing really happens in the East. Do you understand? Like, for us, Igbo kids, that parents make go, they force us to go to the East. We like to be in Lagos where there are concerts and everything happening, Christmas time. But this particular Christmas, I was very excited and I couldn't tell why I was excited. And I go to the East and I'm in my parents' house and someone tells me that there's this Uncle Chimas for my uncle. We're like 8 years apart, but, we could easily pass as siblings. They're like, there's this guy in Uncle Chima's house. He looks like your spec. Like two or three people came and told me that there's this guy. So in my mind, I'm like, who is this person that people keep coming to tell me that is like my spec, so to say. So one day, what even happened, how we met. So my parents and I were going for an event and we decided to make a pit stop at my uncle's house. And at my uncle's house, we're waiting. I think my mom is trying to call my uncle to come out. And there's this gentleman just sitting in the patio, reading his newspaper, minding his business. And, my dad gets tired of waiting for my uncle. So my dad decides to leave the car and go, sit with this gentleman. And next thing, my dad likes to think he's some kind of matchmaker. He's like, oh, isn't it? Come and say hello, something, something, something. So I come out and I'm like, that yes, like I have this snobbish, because my default, I'm always on the defense. So when I see a new face or someone I've not met, I, have this very snobbish look. And he's like, oh, come say hello. This is Chima's friend, blah, 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 blah. I look at him, I didn't really look well. I'm like, okay, good afternoon. Then I don't start looking at him, I'm like, okay, he's kind of hot. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, it's not bad. Okay, interesting. And, we leave that situation. Then my uncle's wife, who was his girlfriend at the time, I start asking questions because my husband lived in Abuja and I was in Lagos. Lagos girl, always Lagos girl, And I was asking her, so who is this guy? What's his P? Tell me about him and all of that. And I think he had dated a friend of hers in the past. And in fact, what actually sold me was that she was like, oh, that her and her friend and him, they weren't dating anymore. But she didn't have any negative thing to say about him. She was like, oh, he was a really nice guy. He's, very calm, very friendly. She said very positive things about him. I'm like, okay, let's see. And our relationship, I won't even say we dated, because you need to understand that I met this man in my uncle's house, right? So it wasn't a matter of, oh, let's try luck, let's play around. It's either, this is my niece, and my uncle doesn't, anyone that knows my uncle, Chimaya, so they know that he doesn't joke with his little niece. And he's always happy to tell anyone that cares to hear that he changed my diaper as a baby. So it's always been, Chima's niece is a no-go area. And because, he lived with us when we were growing up, so I knew a lot of his friends. And it was just a known rule that nobody goes there, right? So, he met me in my uncle's house, in my own village. So there was no opportunity. And, I come from a very close-knitted family. So there wasn't an opportunity to date or to try your luck. And it was either, okay, you're getting married to Zini or you leave her alone. And, for me, yes, he's good looking. I went to the market with my eyes wide open, but it was more than that. So it was more about what's your value system? Like, what are your thoughts? How do you want to, where do you see yourself in 5 years, in 10 years? Like, what's your idea of family life? So it was, what's your character like? Who are you? So it's beyond the, I would say aesthetics. It's beyond the aesthetics. And we got to know each other. I wish, perhaps, if we had spent a little more time getting to know each other, some of the issues that we've had in the marriage would have been avoided because we'll have had hard conversations, deep conversations. And I was 24 going on, I was 23 going on 24 when we met. So we were, going back and forth. And he too, he was interested in getting to know me. So all of a sudden he was appearing in all our events, someone that I had never seen in my life. So I knew that even though my husband is a quiet person, he's not out there, I could see the writings on the wall that, okay, this man was interested in knowing more about this family, knowing more about this person, if it's somebody he can live with and all of that. And, you know, it was very interesting. Very, very interesting. But it's amazing, you know, looking back now, how far we've come, you know, like it's just been amazing, and I'm very grateful to God. But has it been easy? It's definitely not been easy.